Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Look at that happy fish right there swimming by. Hope you're a bunch of happy fishes out there as well. I am. It's almost Friday, man. Tomorrow. One more day left, and we got 2 days. Wow, lucky us. Some of us do. Some of us are hardworking peeps that do a 6 and 7 day week. And for you peeps, I salute you. Let's take a look and see what markets we got going on today and what's going on. And my title here today, which is going to be about confiscation of silver. And I know I'm going to get accused of clickbait, but as I've talked about many times on this video, you got to get people to click your videos in order to listen to your content. You can have the best frickin' content in the world, and if you can't market it, it's worthless. It's kind of like having a restaurant. If you can have the best food in the whole world, but if you can't market that food out there, you're not gonna succeed. So for those of you that think I am going the little clickbait route, I kind of am, but I promise one thing: I will always discuss what I put up as far as the titles go, and I'll try to keep it true to what the topic really is. So let's move along from here and just discuss a couple things. And by the way, Coral City Cam, live underwater cam, one of the coolest cams out there besides the Deerfield Cam, underwater cams. I've not seen any better. If you know any better, please let me know. I'd sure love to take a look at it. Take a look at all. It's almost like a fish tank. It's like going to SeaWorld, but even better. And you can sit here and drink your coffee, load the screen up. I know this is not a fishing show or about aquariums or tanks, but I like showing peaceful, cool stuff like this. And I'm sure some of you, like me, with my cup of coffee in my hand at this moment, take a sip, could sit there and watch this for hours. It's kind of very relaxing to me. Well, let's take a look at talking about relaxing. That's what it looks like. Spot prices are doing relaxing right now compared to where they've been. We saw some good ups this weekend, a little monkey hammering on Monday at the New York opening markets for both gold and silver. I don't know what the catalyst was. Was it gold that went down first or silver? Which brings up a very valid point here that the two go hand in hand. A lot of silver guys won't pay much attention to gold, but don't forget, if gold prices are monkey hammered down, it'll keep silver prices down as well. I mean, the two kind of go hand in hand, and that's why we talk about ratios, and that's why when you hear the word gold, you often hear the word silver go with it. These two metals are synonymous with each other in many ways and forms. Let's look at the spot prices today. We're still in that 1780 mark. Look at that, high of 1789. I'll take a look at the 24-hour chart and see when that happened, if it was in New York or in the overnight markets. And a low of 1778, kind of sitting just a couple bucks higher than the low. Silver's given up some of its gains that it made for the last couple days. 2450 a high, 2408 is the low, and currently 2414 down 17 cents. You know, tomorrow's Friday. Ooh, look, and our little tel platinum is down a couple bucks too. Not much, 1046. Overnight markets 1037, 1065, so kind of sitting right in that range. Down $5 currently. Let's do a quick refresh on this and just see if anything's changed in the last 10 minutes since. Nope, not really, down a little bit. And don't forget, tomorrow's Monkey Hammer Friday. So we could see some monkey hammering. We could see a sub $24 silver and gold get whacked down to that $1760 range, $1760 range again. Platinum, I can't see it sub $1,000 now. I just don't see it really, any more than I can see silver at sub 23 at the moment, and gold at sub 1760. It just seems like it's kind of reaching the lows are higher than the previous lows. We haven't hit higher highs yet, but we definitely are hitting higher lows at this time. And it's possible that tomorrow might be a buying opportunity if they do monkey hammer markets down a little bit. I'm not sure which will get monkey hammered. Will it be gold or silver? And again, obviously, I feel that for the most part, if gold has any kind of sustained monkey hammering, it will bring silver down with it. And I don't think the opposite happens really, though. I really don't believe that silver can bring down the prices of gold. I think overall gold is the older sibling of all of them, and the younger siblings just kind of follow eventually. Let's look at the 24-hour gold chart and see when this kind of, here we go again. Look at this. Take a look. Well, actually, in London markets, it appears to be, is when we started to see, well, today is October 21st. All right, so it wasn't New York. It was two markets, either two markets. New York Globex, which I completely mistrust. I think that's a 24-hour market, and I don't know. I don't think there's heavy gold trading out there. And whenever you see big deals done, whenever you see big deals done in New York Globex, you can pretty much be assured that it was monkey hammering for sure. And I think that mostly applies to the gold market. Silver is mostly monkey hammered in New York, from my understanding. But let's take a look at this line right here. October 20th. All right, there's there's Tuesday, Wednesday, and there's today, Thursday, October 21st. So let's take a look at what we had going on Wednesday. There you go. We're up in the 1780 range, kind of down a little bit, staying in that range. And then we had our high there yesterday, right around New York Open. If you take a look here, that's when we had our bump up in gold. And then after that, pretty much downhill from there. Not by a large amount, but by about 10, look at that, about $10 an ounce. And this is kind of where we're sitting at the moment. Well, hold on, the green line right there. 17, sorry about that. Yesterday, sitting in that 1770 range. And then last night, there's the market opening after New York closed last night. Opens on the high side, but let's see. Again, it's either London or the New York Globex markets where you see some monkey hammering going on here in the gold prices. However, oddly enough, back up again in New York from where it was. Let's take a look at silver. And again, I don't know, I can't tell you which of the markets, whether it was London and New York Globex, where this occurred. I've probably got to get some better information here, or find some different data that tells me. I'd like to find some data that tells me which particular markets that this particular spikes and valleys occur on. And if you guys got any clue, let me know. I don't know everything. So let's take a look at, I'd like to find out who traded these amounts too and how much. I mean, that's technical data that I have never had the ability nor the desire to sift through. That takes someone that really likes running through numbers and looking for anomalies and stuff. Ted Butler's one of those guys, by the way, and there's a few other guys out there that do that. Those are the guys that really let us know for a fact that manipulation does indeed occur. Let's take a look at 24-hour spot prices on silver. There's your Tuesday price right there. There's Tuesday. And again, we saw the spot prices kind of start up in what I thought was probably London. Again, I don't think you're going to see up prices in New York Globex. I could be wrong. And another reason why I'd really like to see where these large trades on the upside and downside are actually done. Are they done in the London market? Are they done in the Globex market? Globex is open nearly 24 hours, so this doesn't really tell us anything here as far as which market, London or Globex. I'd like to be able to find out those details. But let's take a look anywhere where the green, here we are in the green right here, and it looks like apparently the green, wow, looks like the market mostly got hammered in silver in the overnight markets after the open. Take a look at that. That's New York close, whereas New York close is right here. You can see the overnights markets are open, and the overnight markets would be Hong Kong and New York, and I think London as well. And let's take a look here. Well, basically, yeah, it looks like the overnight markets are where silver kind of pretty much got hammered. And let's take a look at New York. New York opens right about there. And oddly enough, here, silver up in the New York market and then back down. It's not even 10 o'clock yet. So some strange activity going on out there. You know, the activity we used to see, you know, heavy activity on the peaks and valleys were typically on Fridays, and especially on the valleys when you saw monkey hammering happening. It happened mostly on Fridays and usually Sunday nights. But of late, the pattern that I have noticed is seems to be in these markets right here, GMT market. I'm going to say between overnight markets and when New York opens. New York during the day seems to pretty much settle out most of the time in those markets right there. So if you take a look over the last few weeks, it looks like most of the activity are happening again in precious metals, overnight markets. And then in New York, a lot of these markets seem to kind of get a bump up in the morning, and then they taper off. Kind of again, just a pattern that I've noticed here, and I don't know if you guys have been paying attention as well. For me, I've got to look at these prices God, almost 24/7. Not in the evening. I try not to take a look at markets, but I do get up occasionally and look at overnight markets. Let's take a look at macro trend charts. I've been really digging these. Last night I got a chance to kind of go over, look at all these different S&P 500 to gold ratio, gold to silver ratio, silver prices 100-year historical chart. Let's take a look at that. And the historical chart's pretty much easy to. I don't know why. I'm not a big fan of log scales. Let me just kind of turn that off. Maybe someone should tell me why I'm a fan of logs. It does certainly look more interesting that way, doesn't it? Let's see. It exaggerate makes it a little bit easier to read it, I guess. So let's take a look. We know on the silver market when the silver market, inflation adjusted. There we go. Let's turn off inflation adjusted and see. Okay. I don't like inflation adjusted. I think even Macro Trends does a good job doing inflation adjusted prices, but I think the figures that they use are kind of going to be whacked, even as hard as they try to get them right. And so I'd rather just kind of look at what the reality is and use my own head to figure out what that means in real dollars today. January 1980, what was the height of the gold market? It certainly wasn't $35.75 an ounce. I'm not sure where Macro Trend gets this stuff here. I don't think it has anything inflation adjusted. $126 an ounce. God, this has got me questioning these charts a little bit. Let's take a look here real quick. And what am I doing wrong here that I can't see $50 silver, which indeed it was. Let me turn off inflation adjusted again. 10, 50. Well, that's in between that. I don't know. I just can't seem to get it to pick up $50 an ounce silver there. Let me see if I can tighten up that chart to 5 years. And 10 years, $34 an ounce, and 20 years. And there we go, $48.60 is where we're going to go. And what chart is that? That's the, 20-year chart I just did. And so, yeah, almost a high of $50. And I believe we did hit an intraday high of $50 on silver. But let's take a look at the all-year charts again. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to go off. I just couldn't figure out why I couldn't nail down a $50 price here. So 1980, January 1980, right around the mid part of the year in 80, or the beginning of the year in 80, is when we seen the epic price of $50 an ounce, adjusted for inflation. This is kind of curious. Let's see what they call it, adjusted for inflation. They're showing it about $126 an ounce adjusted for inflation and $1980. That's more or less a double up. I kind of think that would be incorrect. My feeling is that prices since 1980 have, it's more than double, that's for darn sure. And that's not quite, that's a little more than a double up. That's 2.5 times or so that they're showing that the dollar has been devalued versus today. Let's take a look at 2012 market. And again, I'm going to turn off that inflation adjusted. And let's look at what the real numbers were, because it's easier to look at that way. There you go. For some reason, I'm able to hit $48 on this particular peak. And if you take a look, those should too be exactly around the same, because we hit the same price here. I don't know why they're showing 35. There's no problem with this chart for sure. But $50 per ounce is where we were specifically. Twice in history with silver, and gold has hit an all-time high 3 times. Let me take a look at gold real quick, and we'll go back here. Let's go back to this chart. Gold to silver ratio. Let's see, silver has hit its all-time high, twice, folks? Really? And gold has hit its all-time high. Where is the gold price versus silver prices? Well, here, this is probably an easy place to take a look at. Gold prices versus silver prices historical chart. And yep, there we go. As we can see, gold being that's a silver line right there, is the orange line, and gold is the blue line. So there you go. There's our 1980 market. Okay, ready? Gold at an all-time high, silver at an all-time high of $58 an ounce probably. I'm going to just use 50 as an even number. And gold was significantly higher than that. Close to $800 per ounce. Again, I don't know why I can't kind of nail it there. But let's just say that there's your spike. Both gold and silver rose about the same exact time, spiked at the same time. And then you can see the rise and fall. And this is what I've been telling you for a long time, folks. If you're just a silver buyer, you need to pay attention to gold just as much. Because where gold goes, silver usually follows, except in this case. Let's take a look at silver, and there's another $50 per ounce. There's something wrong with this chart for sure, because I'm not getting $50 per ounce on this chart. Is this shows recessions? It doesn't have inflation. Okay, let's go here. And again, there's our second spike. You can see both gold and silver went up substantially at the same time. Gold and both kind of backed off at the same time. But gold continued to go on and break its all-time high a third time, which was in 2020. So you've got gold breaking a record here, blue line, gold breaking a record here, blue line, gold breaking a record here, again, a blue line as well. And if we take a look at silver, silver record-breaking price in 1980s of $50 an ounce. Another record-breaking high, or touching the high at that time in 2011 and 12, was silver making its second run at $50 an ounce, and gold as well. And here we go. Gold makes its third run at an all-time high or thereabouts, and silver doesn't even go to half its all-time high in this particular rally right here, which kind of goes to show you I'm pretty certain that these markets are manipulated, especially silver, and hence my title here is silver confiscation. Now that's a little bit, silver confiscation is a little bit, might be a little bit over the top, but no more, certainly far less more over the top than someone claiming that they're going to be gold confiscation. And let me explain the difference here. Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971 or 72. Here's what I didn't know about what Nixon did. Nixon also, at the time, I guess we were in major, major trouble. We were overspending. We had the Vietnam War going on. That was our first, lots of expenditures there. There's obviously, you're not making money in that case. Only the industrial military complex and their cronies make money. But Nixon took us off the gold standards. But what I didn't know, and I don't remember because I was kind of young at the time, was that Nixon also put price controls in. This I didn't know. Nixon put in a freeze on wages, I think on increasing or lowering wages. I'm not quite sure which way, but he put a freeze on wages. He also put a freeze on prices, a lot of commodities. This I didn't know either. It was kind of an interesting time. And a lot of people will blame Jimmy Carter for the failure that we had in this country, the 1970s inflation, mega inflation that we had, and the price of gold shooting up substantially and silver shooting up substantially and the value of the dollar going down substantially. This can be tied to Nixon. However, you can't be blamed on Nixon. These again, the policies of prior presidents and prior administrations really are what caused problems for future, generations and stuff. So Nixon kind of inherited that Vietnam War. Nixon inherited the expenditures that went so really each president kind of inherits the stupidity of the prior administration, and this has been going on a long time, folks. It's nothing new. So Nixon is really the start of the inflationary period that we had. What Nixon didn't do is Nixon didn't double down on stupid and say, hey, let's spend $3 trillion or $1.5 trillion or whatever it would have been at the time, billion probably. Let's spend $1.5 billion on a infrastructure and social program. Nixon didn't do that. That would have been a nail in the coffin. So the big difference between what's going on now and then is that Nixon knew when to say stop, and Nixon also knew better than to spend more money. I don't know where these people, their brains are, but that's what socialists mostly are, brainless when it comes to economics. They're good hearts. They have good hearts, but they're clueless when it comes to economics. And they'll kill the country if you let it. Never let a socialist have anything to do with money, period. That's a fact. Don't let them do it. Most of them are clueless in economics, and the ones that say they have an economic degree are nothing more than commies in disguise, commies and Marxists in disguise. That's my opinion again. I'm not going to go there. Let's stick with this topic here. Silver. Now, why do I think that silver has a better chance of being confiscated than gold? Well, because silver is used in manufacturing. I've been saying for quite some time that I really believe that silver is truly a strategic metal. And if we take a look at strategic metals, let's quickly, I'm going to just type in strategic metal. Starbucks. Strategic metals. Ready? Strategic metals. What are examples of strategic metals? What are considered strategic metals? Let's see. Let's click on one I think might be the best one here. Examples of strategic metals: chromium, lithium, osmium, titanium, and let's show 11 more columns, and let's see if we can find some more examples. Introduction to strategic metals. All right, here we go. Antimony, arsenic, beryllium, strategic metals, gallium, magnesium, selenium. Let's see if we can see silver on here in any way, shape, or form. No. Of course, we know that the rare earth metals are, rare. That's why they call them rare earth metals. Are used in electronics and a lot of really important things. But silver is used in a major way, folks. And do you see it anywhere listed here as a strategic metal? No. Maybe there's reasons for that. Maybe that there's enough out there. But with the consumption and use of silver, again, take a look at this. Silver is the best electrical and thermal conductor of all. It doesn't say mostly. It says of all the metals. And so it is used in industrial fabrication, including electrical applications such as conductors, switches, contacts, and fuses. Let's take a look at here. And what is silver in industry? I'm going to kind of click that. This is the Global Silver Institute. And again, we're in totally different times here. From electrical switches, I mean, it's no longer transistors and and that kind of thing. Back it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And really, there's an interesting paper here. Where did I put it? It was on, no, that's not it. Chris Powell, Wall Street. Give me 1 second here. Silver Institute, there it is right there. I want to get to that. Well, let's move over that first. All right, we'll talk about the uses of silver. This was done, and I found this interesting little paper, and sorry if I made you dizzy here. Silver recycling in the United States in 2000. Flow studies for recycling metals. This is a very data-rich report done with probably pretty accurate data, I guess, at the time. Interestingly enough, though, when this was written in 2000, it was probably compiled before 1990s or something, and then it was written in 2000. The largest use of silver at the time was the photography industry, and I knew that at the time, but it's kind of laughable now because where do sources of silver scrap? They talk about sources of silver scrap. You can find this online. It is a long read. Old scrap generated, photographic waste. Manufacturers of photographic materials are reluctant to provide accurate data about their silver consumption, how much silver is purchased, how much is recycled, and how much was removed from waste and stuff like that. And at one time, back in the day, as early as the year 2000, we were still using quite a bit of silver for film and I believe X-rays. Since then, that's changed dramatically, and they've even made a point in here that, which I found really funny, spent catalyst, jewelry, and silversmith home scrap. Gosh, there's a lot of kind of really cool. Well, here. Silver, which is the material responsible for producing the photographic image, is found in a number of different materials, and they talk about how silver was the primary user, the largest user of silver at the time, and they felt that not cellular phones, but the new technology, digital cameras. They talk about digital cameras in here, process color do not contain appreciable amounts of silver after 1998. So they talk about how cameras, digital cameras, were going to maybe reduce the amount of film that was being used, and that would pretty much reduce the film industry to using very little silver, and that actually is true. Nobody gets their film done anymore. Nobody gets prints hardly anymore, very seldom. And I believe the color printers now can do almost just as a good job as the print can. So processing of photographic silver waste, again, I found this very interesting to read, is so old school and not even funny. However, what did take up the space of silver, even tenfold, even far more? The photography industry was very good at reprocessing, and again, that's what this article talks about: reprocessing scrap. Here, close your eyes, I'm gonna make you dizzy. This article was talking about, here we go, forward, oh gosh, silver recycling in the United States at a time when photography was one of the largest uses of silver, but they also refined the most out of all the industries. I mean, they did. They were very good at putting the silver back into use again. However, today's electronics, that's not true, and that's where I'm going with this. Good article here you can read yourself, and it's called, here's the URL, pubs.usgs.gov. And, oh no, it's longer than that, actually. Here, I better go to the top again. All right, don't get dizzy. U.S. Department of Interior, silver recycling United States in 2000. Just type that into your Google search. You'll come up with it, and you'll find it very interesting. Read it. It's kind of dated, but here's where the silver went to. It went from the photography industry to, and there's the Silver Institute, electrical switches, solar panels, chemical producing catalysts. Silver is an essential component in many industries. Its unique properties make it nearly impossible to substitute, and its uses span a wide range of applications. Almost every computer, now remember in the year 2000, photography was starting to wind down the uses of silver photography. However, what was gearing up was computers, mobile phones, automotive stuff, appliances with silver. A huge amount of products, far more than was ever used with photography. And most of this stuff is thrown away. Again, landfills, it's not being recovered like the silver photography industry once did. Almost every computer, mobile phone, automobile, and appliance contains silver. It is a perfect substance for coating electrical contacts like those in printed circuit boards because of its high electrical conductivity and durability. It does not corrode as bad as other types of metals that could be used, and that's one of the primary points. You don't want to have your car or an important piece of electronic having the solder corrode and having the circuit board corrode because it was used, it used nickel or some other inferior form of electrical conductive metal. Painting silver ink, this is even more cooler. Painting silver ink on any non-metal surface provides an electrical pathway. Painting, folks, all right? Eliminating the need for wires. They don't need wires anymore. This eliminates the use of copper as well in a lot of products. For example, radio frequency identification device, RFID chips, are replacing barcodes on many items in supermarkets and supply chain inventories. The chip's paper-thin antennas consist of sprayed-on silver. Now, you're thinking sprayed on silver, that's just microns, but think about this multiplied times a billion. You know what I'm saying? And again, these products, unlike the photography, where they would reprocess the chemicals and pull the silver out, which was a common practice at the time, most phones, most of this stuff, even the cars, think about this. No one's stripping out the silver contacts on the electrical stuff at junkyards. You don't see it. No one's stripping out, most people when they throw their computer away, they throw it in the garbage, Most people when they throw their phone away because it's been destroyed, it goes in the garbage. This stuff is not getting recycled for silver or gold, it's ending up in landfills. So we've got even a worse problem with silver out there. And where does this take me back to? It takes me back to, I think silver is very legitimately can be considered in this day and age a strategic metal. And given the fact that Nixon was able to take us completely off the gold standard, close the gold window to foreign countries, and place locks on wages and place locks on price hikes. I think Nixon also started tariffs and stuff like that. Or maybe he wasn't, I'm not quite sure. But here nor there, I know Nixon opened up the world to China with Kissinger, that's for sure. I remember the whole process. I remember when we got our first pandas. Oh, thank you, China, for the pandas, and we appreciate it. Thank you for taking all our manufacturing now, too. But no less, see, that's what I said. That's what happens when you let socialists run the world. You lose everything. Give me 1 second, a sip of coffee. All right. So this is where I get into the title here. And boy, I've gone a long ways to explain my title here. It's anything but clickbait. I think that because of the uses of silver and the important uses of silver globally, not just the United States, globally, in electronics and so many products that we have, that if there was a physical shortage of silver, that silver has a higher likelihood of being made illegal to, maybe not illegal to own, but illegal to trade, I could see them putting price caps on it, and I could see them limiting the amount that people can buy or sell. Far greater, you hear these telemarketers and these people that do these videos. Oh, you got to buy $20 gold pieces. You got to buy gold, this type of gold, and usually overpriced bullshit, 20s and stuff like that. U.S. gold coins. Nothing wrong with U.S. gold coins, but the way they promote them, that they won't be confiscated, is bullshit. Because they're not going to have gold confiscation. We're not on a gold standard. Gold is mostly recovered. Almost all the gold that was ever mined is still above ground and still available to us, unlike silver. Okay, and silver, they would have an excuse. They could legitimately say, well, listen, silver stocks are very low. Now all of a sudden we're not going to be able to produce cars or TVs or electronic equipment or more missiles. God forbid if you can't produce more missiles. Got down to that, they're definitely going to ban the use of silver or something, or not use of silver, but the private sale of silver. So if someone's going to say that gold can be confiscated by the government in the future, and they're going to tell me that my title is clickbait, calling silver confiscatable, then they're a complete idiot, and that's my opinion. So, if you can legitimately say that you think that gold is going to be confiscated one day, especially those YouTubers and sellers out there that are selling overpriced $20 gold pieces and overpriced bullion under the guise of non-confiscatable bullshit. I think my silver case of silver confiscation, not confiscation, I'm going to call myself out on clickbait confiscation, but I can see silver being heavily regulated, the use of silver, especially if we got to a point where there was truly a shortage. Again, understanding how important it is in our everyday lives, okay? So there's my whole point on the potential regulatory, let me not say confiscation now, the regulatory use of silver. I could see the confiscation of silver, or the government saying, you can no longer legally trade in this stuff right now. It's become a strategic metal. I could see the confiscation part, they'd have to come and take it from us. At that point, I think we'd all be shooting back at them. But I could see them placing big regulations on it, and a president particularly saying, listen, silver is a strategic metal now. We can't give you new TV sets, new cell phones, or this or that. You're going to have to live with your old stuff unless we do this. I could see that possibly happen. Again, the uses of silver, it's just incredible. So many people forget about this, and so much of it's been thrown away. Mining was basically halted for a year plus. So there's some real physical shortage problems out there, not to mention the hoarding by investors. JP's got 1 billion ounces of silver, according to Ted Butler. Private investors who have never capitulated in years hold a ton of it. So, what happens when manufacturing starts having to pay $100 an ounce, $150, $200 an ounce for it, which I don't think is impossible, folks. In fact, if you ask me, I think silver should be at least $150 an ounce. The most suppressed, underpriced commodity out there, in my opinion, next to gold. Let's take a look at what else I'm going to talk about today. And here, I still want to encourage you guys to go to macro trends. Now, it looks like some of the data is a little rough there. I couldn't quite get the high on the 1980 gold and silver price, but they have so many cool spreadsheets out here, not spreadsheets, but graphs out here on historical charts and gold versus silver prices, palladium prices, historical chart, Dow to silver ratio. That's an interesting chart. I don't think I've even ever seen. Let's just look at it real quick for the fun. Dow to silver ratio. Interesting. Well, let's take a look at here. Oh, that looks tasty. Bunch of ice creams. What flavor are those colors? Let's see here. Take a look at that. There's the ratio in 1980, 24. So apparently the ratio gets substantially lower in bull markets for the Dow to silver ratio. And that's got to be 2011, 2012. Yep, there I am again. So I suspect next time we see this chart hit a low like that, the Dow to silver ratio is, I guess silver is doing well when you see these valleys like this. Well, I didn't get into it to talk about this particular graph. I just wanted to show you guys a bunch of cool graphs you can see for free on macro trends. And where do we go from here, man? ZH, as you know, I like ZH because it is not a single corporate narrative view. There is multiple viewpoints out here, some of them even bordering on the conspiracy case. But, you know, if you look at Wall Street Journal, let's take a look at Wall Street Journal. Blah, 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 corporate mainstream, blah, 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 every art blah. Corporate mainstream narrative is what they're giving us here. They don't give you different options. They don't give you different viewpoints. They give you a single viewpoint, and they make fun of all the rest or deplatform them, one or the other. ZH, I like it because, again, it's written by a bunch of different people. Hey, Sprott's on here as well. I like this guy, William Bonsai. Welcome to Farsa. I like some of his memes. His memes are kind of cool. Farsatopia, where's Farsa? Yeah, that's kind of scary. Admiring the, well, anyway, let's move down here. Good, good, good. I'm glad to see this person right here is doing that. May they God, you got at least one or two, you got Manchin out there too, one or two fiscally responsible DNCers out there that aren't total frickin' socialists. And again, socialist folks are Marxist, really. They're just beginning school. There's nothing liberal about them at all. Nothing liberal, but I'm not going to go into that. White House detail plans. Oh my gosh, I'm not even going to say that word. That'll just get me doxxed here. Wow, they just double down on stupid, don't they, folks? Leveraged prosperity model is doomed. That's the worst of it. And this was kind of interesting. Again, I'm not going to talk about it. It talks about his son and how they made that whole deal, the laptop deal, go away. But again, not too much. But the thing is Biden nominee for banking regulation is likely a communist based on what I'm seeing. Definitely somebody we don't want there as the top banking regulator. Wow, you know, that 2024 can't get here quick enough, and I'm looking forward to 2022 as well. In deep ship, National Guard to address number of vessels off Los Angeles. Now, a lot of you say, hey, Brian, why are you discussing politics? That just puts a big stick in the spoke, you know, of the bicycle. You know what I mean? Why? You know, we don't want to talk politics. We see it every day. But the fact is, folks, is that these people really control where the markets are headed. And that has a lot to do with the price of gold and silver. If you've got administrations and you've got presidents, I don't care, blue or red, that are driving the economy into the depths of hell, that is ultimately good for the price of gold and silver. So we do discuss this. I mean, if I see good news in here, I'm going to talk about that as well. If I see the blue or red administration doing things I think are good for the economy, I'm going to mention that because it's probably time to sell your gold, but or in silver. But I don't see that happening. This is not good, and not because I'm taking sides in anything, but you know, war is never good. You know, what war? What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. And that's a great song, by the way. So not too much in precious metals here to talk about. But I do encourage you guys to read ZH. They do a lot of precious metals articles out here. God, IBM plunges after another dismal quarter. Kind of curious. I got to start looking at stocks and bonds someday. I don't want to talk about them because I'm kind of clueless on what to invest in. But IBM, God, they used to have that big factory in Boca Raton. I remember that place. Then they closed it down. They were a powerhouse at one time. I can't believe Microsoft is way bigger. Well, I can't believe it. Let's take a look at GATA.org. Very good article here by Chris Powell, Gold Market Manipulation Update, October 2021. Gosh, I really want to read this to you, but I have to encourage you to read it yourself. It is quite long. As you can see, if you look at my cursor as I'm going down the page here, that's a lot of reading, folks. So we would be here another 45 minutes if I read this article to you. Maybe I can hit over a few key points here. Definitely read this, GATA.org, new article, Gold Market Manipulation Update. Hit the links. He makes a kind of good point here. The world's money supply has exploded. Stock and commodity prices are soaring. Rising food and fuel prices are devastating living standards around the world as wages fail to keep up. Real interest rates have been deeply negative for months. Government debt, especially U.S. government debt, has risen by trillions of dollars instead of billions. And yet, monetary metal prices in the last 12 months have fallen. Yes, falling. Gold by 7%, silver by 3.5%. Perhaps the only major asset with prices that have fallen. And he's about right there. The always oblivious, and he calls this out, right? The World Gold Council, who is supposed to be the cheerleaders for gold dealers and gold investors worldwide, are completely oblivious. I mean, I think they just read the Wall Street Journal only, apparently, and corporate narrative, because that's all they spout. The World Gold Council keeps calling gold a great diversifier investment portfolios. Yes, gold lately has been a great investor for Unique Capital, who has great investors. For the last year and two, gold has gone down. So he's pointing out that gold has been great for investors who need capital losses to offset the capital gains they've achieved by investing in nearly everything else. All right. So, I mean, it sounds like a negative comment to make, but it's true. Gold has gotten, since 2020, you know, we had a high of a little over 2,000. We're down to what? Still the 1,700s. I mean, we've already put in our lows, so I'm not worried about that, but it's completely opposite of what really should happen in this environment. And again, what is this article about? Gold manipulation, the manipulation of markets. And before I go any further, all markets are manipulated, folks. Every market is manipulated. I mean, everything in your life is manipulated to some degree. Some of it fraudulently, some of it borders on the edge of fraudulent, and some of it just the way life is, you know, from the day you're born. You're manipulated to do things. You're manipulated to buy things. We're always manipulated. So manipulation is nothing new, folks. Don't act like, oh, God, the gold and silver market's manipulated. I better not go into that market. I can't make money. Complete bullshit. Every market you're in is, you know, politics is manipulated. Elections are manipulated. Everything's manipulated out there. Your buying choices are manipulated. Your consumer choices are manipulated. So the whole thing about manipulation is, of course, the game is rigged. As here, I'm going to just kind of pull up my favorite author is Robert Hine. Of course, the game is rigged. The game is rigged, and I'll let you read it because a visual always. Of course, the game is rigged. Where's my images? Images. And there you go. Of course, the game is rigged. Don't let that stop you. If you don't play, you can't win. Again, that's Robert Heinlein that said that, and he's absolutely correct. So this is what I'm here to teach you. This is what I'm here to show you, is how the game is rigged. This is why I'm having you read articles like GATA.org. And the beauty of this is that once you know how the game is rigged, you know how the game is played, you become a far better player, and better players usually end up doing well. Let's take a look here and what else. God, this article is so long. And the dumping Harley, okay, here we go. Last year has been a full hints of examples of these anomalies, and I talked about this the day it happened. If you guys watched my show the morning after this, okay, Sunday, August 8th. August 9th, I talked about this in the morning. I said exactly what he's talking about. For example, on the Sunday, August 8th, when trading ordinarily is thin, and I believe that trade was probably done in the Globex market, I'm not quite sure, about $4 billion in gold future contracts were dumped on the market in just a few hours, with no financial or geopolitical news to explain them. Dumping came out of the blue. Of course, I recognize this pattern because I've seen it all the time. That's when they monkey hammer the markets and thinly traded markets on Sunday night, or at least they were. Now, this is gold market, not the silver markets, folks. Remember, gold and silver manipulation are two different things. Gold is likely manipulated by central banks and the BIS. Silver is likely manipulated or is manipulated by the 4 to 8 big commercial banks and the money managers out there that are now getting involved with it. So totally different rigging, totally different entities rigging the market. So on August 8th, in the middle of the night, some entity, likely central banks, people with endless money, dumped the gold market. Remember when that happened? Everybody woke up and said, holy crap, almost $100 down. That was on a Sunday night, clear manipulation. The dumping hardly arose from the simultaneous decision of thousands of retail gold investors around the world to sell in the belief that the most enduring and reliable form of money has suddenly lost utility. That's the illusion that was given by corporate news and corporate media. If you watch Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, or any of them, they would have given you the illusion that, people were dumping their gold. But no, that was just what happened that day, that evening, was pure outright manipulation, fraudulent in my opinion. But how do you put central bankers are too big to fail and too big to jail, but they should have been jailed on this one. The dumping did not arise from sudden unanimity of the world's gold mining companies to hedge their production years out. No, the dumping was the work of some entity or several entities that had easy access to billions of dollars and wanted to make the gold price go down hard and fast. Even the World Gold Council's chief market strategist, John Reed, who is a denialist, in denial that there's gold manipulation, even he was compelled to wonder out loud what was the hell going on. He wrote, could the sell-off have been a fat finger or something malicious? Either are possible. It shows you how deluded this guy is. He just can't admit that central banks are manipulating the price of gold. Reed did not elaborate on what might have constituted malicious, but whatever the source of the attack, it was more like a fat sledgehammer than a fat finger. The attack was a spectacular event in the financial markets, but this guy is an idiot. So Reed's an idiot. I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. And GATA.org, now here's where it gets long and lengthy, but man, you really got to read this. 20 years has identified some of the entities who have done this rigging. Folks, let me tell you, out of all the YouTubers that you listen to out there, out of all the websites, Wall Street Silver, Silver Seekers, you name it, there's two places you need to go to look at manipulation and understand how it happens and why and who the players are, and this is going to make you smarter. You read this article by Chris Powell, Gold Market Manipulation. Now, this is just for the gold market. You will be smarter than most all the people out on the Wall Street Silver site that haven't read it. You'll be smarter than the people on silver. You'll be smarter than the average bear, okay, when it comes to gold manipulation. If you want to know how the silver markets are manipulation, all you got to do is go look at Ted Butler's articles, and he explains that. And of course, I'll be explaining more, and I do explain this to you all the time. I guess just want you guys to know how the game is rigged and who the players are. And why do I do this? Because it's going to make you a much better player at the table, and you're going to put more money in your pocket at the end of the day. Wall Street Silver, love this website. And by the way, hey, listen, if I can put this on your read list for the weekend. It's a long read if you can't do it today. Chris Powell, Gold Market Manipulation Update. It's on gata.org. If you scroll, and I think it's on the top of their page, but it'll be a couple ones down. Gold Market Manipulation Update. Okay, Venezuelans break off flakes of gold to pay for metals and haircuts. This is kind of cool. And you know what? In the worst case scenario, okay, where we get into a Venezuela-like scenario here, okay, where in a lot of these little towns, there's no electricity, they can't afford internet, they couldn't afford cell phones or whatever it may be, or maybe they have them. It's just their dollar is so worthless. These people actually use, in Venezuela, they break off little flakes of gold. Apparently in here, one guy figured that 3 flakes of gold is worth, this is cool because it's true, and this is hard, gritty reality, all right, of what we don't have to go through here in this country, fortunately, yet. But keep letting these people run this country the way they are, and we will. Okay, that'll be a half a gram. Lunch for 2 at a Chinese restaurant, 1/4 of a gram. A haircut, 1/8 of a gram, please. George Pina, 20 years old, figured that 1/8 came out to 3 small flakes, the equivalent of $5. After getting a trim one recent weekday in the town of Tamarimo, he handed them over to his barber, who, satisfied with Pina's calculations, quickly pocketed them. You can pay for everything in gold. In the high-tech global economy of 21st century, where tap-and-go transactions are the rage, this is about as low-tech as it gets. Well, folks, it just goes to prove my point. In a low-tech scenario, in a scenario where you have the worst-case scenario, limited money, terrible money, no internet, no electricity, whatever it may be, your Bitcoin and your those kind of things are completely worthless. At least in this town, he could have probably given a guy a $5 bill and still gotten away with him, gotten away with paying for it. But can you imagine the guy saying, "Here, let me send you some Bitcoin"? The barber would have told him to go F himself. So all right, let's move along here. Wall Street Silver. Let me just scroll down here and do a quick update. And let's see here. Oh, here, best deal out there right now. Next to, if you want an official government coin, there's no better deal out there than Britannia's right now. Well, I mean, I do have the other better deal, which is a silver St. Helena Angels, which are just as pretty and nice. But really good deals out in Britannia's. I think that you should be able to pick them up for spot plus around $4 per ounce at the most. Considering that generics are $3.50 over, that's probably a pretty good deal. But folks, don't be paying more than spot plus $4 for these per ounce, and don't be paying more than $4 per ounce for any silver right now. Until you have to, buy the cheaper products. Good for this dude right here. He's got some gold, some silver, stacking some stuff up. Good to, and I like that. Diversification is really a good deal. Should have both gold and silver in your pile. What is he buying? He's buying Britannias. Platinum maples are around spot plus $4.75. These are around spot plus $4. Gold maples are around spot plus, I think spot plus 90 right now. Again, I'm talking about small quantities. You're just buying one or two of them. That's about what they're running. And this gentleman's buying foreign silver, which is a pretty good buy. The only downside is it does get discounted because a lot of it gets melted, doesn't get resold. So it gets thrown in 55-gallon drums and turned into gold bars. But it's still a good buy. It's all relative. If you're paying melt or maybe a tiny bit over melt and you're getting 10% behind melt or 5%, it's relative. So it's a good deal. Foreign's a good deal if you're willing to take the time to look up the ASW, the actual silver weights. Angry wife, are you spending more of our cash on silver bullion today? And again, they have some great memes out here. Oh, there you go. Venezuelans break off flakes gold to pay for meals and haircuts. Folks, that's a testament to gold and silver. It's been around for 5,000 plus years as investment, silver's used for industrial uses, critical for industrial uses. Gold, not so much, but gold is money, folks. It's been around for 5,000 years, has a track record, has a history record, and it's been around longer than any currency, any corporation, any empire. It's outlived them all. Let's see here. Oh, those are pretty cool. I'd like to buy one. I could drive on the streets here, but apparently you can't in Florida. Science is hard. Protection from inflation is not buy silver. Damn it. He's spot on. I don't know if he really said that. I think he did. Oh, boy. All right, anyways, I could just kind of scroll down here. I have an addiction. See, this, I don't like this. Great. Looks like not a bad safe. Is that a gun safe? I only see one. There's 1, 2, 3. Tough to say. I don't think it's a gun safe. It looks like it has a couple additional locks, but still, folks, don't post this stuff out here. I don't know who this gentleman is. I don't want to know, actually, and I hope he's kind of completely anonymous out there and doesn't share that with people he knows, because you really don't want anybody to know what you have. You're just setting yourself up to be robbed or something like that. Just my opinion. And we talked about safes in the video the other day too. Good safes or bad safes. Hard for me to tell. You see that little locking, that little floor thing right there? Most good safes have 1, 2, 3 on that side, 3 or 4 on that side, and 3 or 4 on that side. So this is probably a low-level security safe, or maybe just a gun safe, which is not really secure at all. Okay, let me move out of Wall Street because this is beginning to become, oh my gosh, a long video. We saw that, silver recycling. We talked about geological ratio gold to silver. Another reason I think that's possible that silver is a good strategic metal. Geologists estimate there are approximately 19 ounces of silver for every ounces of gold in the Earth's crust, with a ratio approximately of 11.2 ounces of silver to each ounce of gold that has ever been mined. So they're saying, geologists believe that in the Earth's crust itself, there's 19 ounces of silver for every ounce of gold. And the fact that we've already blown through and thrown away most of the silver above ground in the world, I would bet you that ratio is even lower, which leads me to believe the more we use and the less we recycle, the much rarer this metal is going to become. And hence my reasons that if it's not today, that one day it could become a strategic metal and regulated. I hope not. I think not. But I think there's a greater possibility of that happening than gold ever being confiscated for sure. I went out to eBay the other day just kind of looking at what kind of deals are. There are no good deals on eBay, so let's not even go there. Unless you can pick off certain folks and pick off certain specials and deals. None of these are great prices. And interestingly enough, this company apparently gets special rates because if I put silver out at that rate, what PayPal and eBay charges me, I'd be in negative numbers. If you put it out for $27.15 and you sold your silver for $27.15, it'd be a horrible deal after eBay fees. But I think some of these silver companies and some of these big companies have a special deal worked out with eBay and PayPal, so they don't pay the same fees that you do. Look at the prices on this stuff. So there are no great deals on eBay unless you can pick off individuals that are selling stuff for too little. And again, you better know what you're doing because there is a lot of counterfeit stuff out there. Well, man, where did I go with this? Oh, let's take a look. I almost skipped the video here. And, oh gosh, I'm still learning this machine, so forgive me here. Which one is this? Let's see, did I, I think I got rid of my whole screen, did I? No. Hang on a second. Let's see what I did here. Oh my gosh. I forgot, where did all my, all right. I guess I'm going to have to close it up. I wanted to talk about a few more things, but I think I entirely closed all the screens there. I'm not used to all the new buttons on this thing, by the way. So, well, here I can click this one. Let's end it at that. It's a long show. I'll talk about more stuff tomorrow. This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. I advertise to beat APMEX, JM, and SD Bullion on their prices on gold and silver stuff. Easy for me to do. And if you find a good local dealer, it should be easy for you to do. Nothing wrong with those companies. I'm just suggesting that I would rather have your business locally than have you send it outside. And I spend that money. You spend money with me here in my store, I spend it locally. And like I said, I can beat their prices and give you more personal service than the big online companies can. Again, nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying what I can do. Hey, thanks for watching. Let's recontinue this discussion tomorrow, and have yourself a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye now.